wouldn't steal a handbag. You wouldn't steal a television. You wouldn't steal a movie. Downloading pirated films is stealing. Stealing is against the law. Piracy, it's a crime.
Good noon, class, and Dickie. We're glad you could join us today as we talk about an issue very near and dear to our hearts. Piracy. No, I'm not talking about Captain Jack Sparrow. Though who is excited for that movie? I am. I've seen all of them. We are not talking about the pirates of the deep blue sea. We are talking about the pirates of the deep, dark internet. Chloe, Ben, David, and I would like to invite you, yourself, personally, to join our crusade against piracy. What is piracy?
The watching of media via a third party who does not have explicit permission or rights to share media. Communication or entertainment that reaches and influences people widely. In other words, movies. The exclusive legal right for the producer of literary, musical, or artistic work to be published, reproduced, sold, distributed, etc., along with the right to allow others to do the same.
Technically, piracy has been around as long as there's been entertainment to media. All those mixtapes made back in the 80s, they didn't have permission to record those songs and share them. Technically, piracy. I guess that means that media is the root cause of piracy. However, there is one major contributor to the rise in piracy today.
Technology, more specifically the internet.
A lot more goes on in the entertainment industry than we often think about. When we think of the world of media, often what comes to mind is bright lights, red carpets, big stars, and signings. But a lot more happens behind the scenes than we realize. After all, there's a whole list of names at the end of Marvel movies that we have to sit through in order to reach the post-credits scene. It's estimated that 2.4 million of the US jobs are in the media industry, and that 7,500,000 of those jobs have been lost due to piracy. The monetary loss faced by media companies means two things: smaller budgets and smaller paychecks. The big stars and directors that have their names attached to these movies get what they were promised, but writers get less for scripts, animators and set crew get paid less, theaters are charged more to show the movies because of the budget cuts that were probably ignored, and so they raise the ticket prices. And because the ticket prices go up, people turn to piracy, and the whole cycle starts over. In addition to the job market, the economy is hurt by piracy too. The entertainment industry adds about $80 billion to the United States economy each year. However, it's estimated that the average mobile device in the United States has about $800 worth of pirated content on it, and that the US economy loses about $250 billion a year to piracy alone. So what it comes down to is this. When content is illegally taken and distributed, income stops, jobs cannot be supported, and people are left unemployed. All in all, piracy hurts the little people the most.
Let's talk about our methodology. In order to reduce piracy, we thought about allowing streaming websites to sell the rights of the movies and give customers 24 hours to watch a movie. In the past, a company called The Screening Room attempted this exact solution. The Screening Room charged $50 per movie and gave $20 to the producers. In theory, the producers would make more money since the theater charges approximately $8 per ticket, and the producers only take 50% of that, which is about $4. The price per ticket may be more, but the major movie theaters would not allow this because of their huge profit loss. So streaming movies would not be an option. In addition, it would be impossible to regulate each private viewing area, and online screening would most likely increase piracy. Since customers want to pay less per movie, we want to come up with an idea that brings people to the theater. Furthermore, major movie theaters make more of a profit through concessions. Therefore, we want to suggest a seasonal pass. A seasonal pass would allow customers to watch any movie during the duration of their pass, which is typically around 4 months. This would encourage people to favor watching a movie in the theaters on the big screen rather than in poor quality with several pauses and at home illegally. This would also allow people to buy more concessions, which would increase the profits of the theaters, since without a profit, theaters wouldn't even consider the option. In conclusion, this would reduce the amount of piracy in the world. Let's talk about some of the punishments associated with piracy. Hypothetically, let's assume the government had evidence of a copyright infringement on your computer. You could expect a $250,000 fine and up to 5 years in jail. The fine does vary depending on the severity of each case. Take, for example, a woman in Minnesota who was found guilty for having 24 songs illegally downloaded. She was fined $80,000 per song for a total of $1.92 million. This case was denied by the Supreme Court, and the final fine was $220,000 total and $9,250 per song. Each song was originally 99 cents. In order to reduce piracy, we want to enforce new punishments. The first offense would be a ban on computers with internet access for 1 month. The second offense would be similar to that of the Capitol Records versus Thomas Rassin case. Our goal is that the first offense will raise awareness and the severity of piracy while reducing the amount of illegal downloads altogether. Oh, hey, didn't see there. Utilizing the methodology. How do we enforce harsher laws onto students or convince them to purchase movies? We don't. But you should listen to the university's policies. Upon your first infringement, your device is blocked from the school's network. That means you will not be able to connect to the internet without filing a report with the IT department on campus. Upon your second infringement, your device will be denied access again to the network, and your file will be forwarded to the campus judicial officer. Now, at this point, they can send this case to the appropriate law enforcement agencies. Depending on the severity of the case, Larry Steffen, the dean of students, said that students can suspect probation, suspension, or even expulsion. Since every student has to agree to the student handbook, you are all obligated to respect the copyrights of others. So in theory, everyone on our campus should be fine. They shouldn't be committing piracy. But that's not the case. The university catches approximately 5 copyright infringements per day. And over the past 10 years, they have found over 18,000 copyright infringements. Not such an ethical society after all.
Do we think we can solve piracy?
Oh, I'm sorry, what was the question again?
No, we don't. Piracy will always be around as long as there's digital media. But we do hope that through the use of our methodology, we can significantly reduce piracy over the next decade. The hardest part of the process will be the national social mindset towards the ethics of piracy. Piracy is something we know is illegal, but we all participate in with the general consensus of, I won't tell if you won't. But our apathy doesn't make piracy suddenly right, legally or morally. But by doing our best to reduce piracy through our theater movie packs and punishment plans, as well as teaching the rising generation about the harm piracy causes the economy, we hope we can stop this illegal activity, grow the economy with funds that were lost, regain the jobs lost, and change the world.
Argument number 1. It is impossible to stop piracy, so it should be legal.
That logic is flawed. Just because it may be improbable to stop something from happening doesn't make it right to allow it to keep happening. The issue of piracy has very negative effects on the producers of whatever media is being pirated. So what motivation do people or companies have to produce media such as movies? If people can legally obtain movies for free, why pay for it? That is exactly the reason why piracy must be illegal and have steps taken to reduce its effects.
Argument 2. The original copy is still there, therefore it isn't stealing.
We live in a modern era where piracy cannot only be defined as physically beating someone up and taking their booty. Now that we have digital files, piracy has taken on a whole new definition. With copyrighted media, remember, copyright means the exclusive legal right of producers to authorize the publication, reproduction, selling, and distribution of their copyrighted work. If a person or company has copyrights on a movie they produced, in order for other people to even have a copy of that movie, they must get special permission in the form of a purchase or terms of agreement.
Argument number 3. Piracy is based on the assumption that it hurts those involved in the production of which that was pirated. Hollywood actors are overpaid anyway. Piracy won't hurt their salaries.
The reason why buying copies of movies in retail stores or online are higher than they should be is the fact that right now it's relatively easy to just go on your computer and stream or download a copy of whatever movie you want without penalty. Due to this lack of punishment, piracy is easier, and the more pirating that goes on, the higher the cost of movies in order to make up that loss of income by the producers.
Argument number 4. Why pay $10 for a copy of a movie like Shawshank Redemption when I can get away with streaming it for free and then buy myself 10 McChickens instead?
The reason why buying copies of movies in retail stores or online are higher than they should be is the fact that right now it's relatively easy to just go on your computer and stream or download a copy of whatever movie you want without any real penalty. Due to this lack of punishment, piracy is a lot easier, and the more pirating that goes on, the higher the cost of movies in order to make up for that loss of income by the producers.
Argument number 5. More people would benefit if piracy wasn't illegal.
That statement comes from the idea that everything should be accessible and free to everyone. But what drives piracy is actually greed. Piracy is a business that has the potential to make a lot of money for professional pirates. Without going further into knowing how they do this, it is a fact that they are actually making money doing it. Now, don't get me wrong, there isn't a problem with making money, but making money by piggybacking off of the success of someone else's work without sharing some of that profit with that someone is simply unethical.
because it's stealing those profits from that person.
Argument number 6. What about people who simply don't have the money to acquire movie content? It should be legal for lower income people to pirate.
Financial standing is not an excuse for unethical acts such as piracy. However, if further steps are taken to reduce piracy, people will most likely see the positive outcome of lower prices, and then maybe it'll get to the point where even people with lower incomes can share the benefit.
Argument number 7. Distribution methods lack in convenience, so piracy is just way easier.
I can understand that it can be a pain when you have a show like Game of Thrones and you need a subscription on HBO in order to go watch the newest episodes. But distribution is actually getting a lot better as time goes on. It's way more convenient now than it was 20 years ago when you didn't have things like Redbox, Netflix, HBO Go, Hulu, Amazon. There are so many different distributors out there that lack of convenience and distribution is just a big excuse.